Appalachia 101 Part 2. So, another thing that we really need to consider when we're thinking of Appalachia and the political landscape is the cultural ridicule that has happened. Some really harmful stereotypes called hillbillies, how they're portrayed in reality TV. They don't pick just an average Kentucky citizen, they look for people who fit the stereotypes, and that's who they put forward. And so many people in Appalachia have had to watch how they're represented at the national level and it not even being realistic or relatable to them. Our accents have been mocked. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've had my accent made fun of. We're treated as if we're dumb or ignorant, and it was almost like my accent somehow meant that I was uneducated or uninformed, and that's not true at all. Many Appalachians have an amazing educational background. Many of us have graduate degrees. Many of us are in trades, skilled. And then another part of education that people aren't understanding about Appalachia is just the hands-on, hard-won lived experience. My grandfather, who raised me, could do anything. And that's how a lot of men are in Appalachia. He could plant crops and harvest them and can. He could work on his car, work on his tractor. He actually had a shop where other people brought their cars to him. He could do any of that. He could build a house. He could do the plumbing and the electrical work in that house. He could paint cars. There was nothing that he couldn't do. And that's how a lot of men in Appalachia are. They are very skilled and capable and can build and create things that most of us can't even imagine. And so this cultural humiliation that they've had to experience has led to a defensive identity formation. They're very guarded and protective of who they are and their identities, and not everyone's getting in. There's a lot of distrust and a lot of resentment for the way that they've been treated by their government, by corporations, and just other citizens in this nation. They're resentful, and why wouldn't they be? They've been oppressed, abused, ridiculed, mocked, disgraced, disparaged. And so they're attracted to anti-elite political rhetoric. That sounds like music to their ears. Anti-establishment, anti-government. And so when Republicans come on the scene and they talk about small government and the government not interfering in your life, they're thinking, look at what's happened to us in these coal industries. The small government is going to prevent that from happening to us again. They are very guarded and distrustful, as they should be. And so over time, many Appalachian communities developed not only economic hardship, but institutional memory. Memories of outside industries extracting wealth. So my dog's trying to flip out over here, sorry. Policymakers making promises that never arrived. Media narratives reducing communities to stereotypes, and systems that often appeared only in moments of crisis. We're not even acknowledging Appalachia unless there's some kind of crisis or an election, just like what we saw with Massey. This distrust of institutions did not just emerge spontaneously. It emerged because of repeated experiences of disconnection, exploitation, invisibility, and cultural humiliation. Appalachia has watched themselves be observed and not known. Appalachia has often been studied, reported on, photographed, and politicized, without communities feeling genuinely seen, heard, or listened to. And this emotional distinction is powerful. And so when we think about Donald Trump coming on the scene and he's talking about draining the swamp and exposing the corruption of the government and exposing the corruption in these corporations, it resonates with Appalachian peoples because of their experiences. And this is where the MAGA movement has been significantly better than the Democratic, because they're understanding and giving attention to rural and Appalachia America that are often not even discussed or included in narratives. And when Donald Trump comes on the scene, and all of us on the left, because we can see that he's a horrible, destructive force, that he's a piece of shit, let's be honest, what they see is the establishment pushing back against him because he doesn't want establishment. They see the government pushing back against him because he wants a smaller government and less government interference. You have to understand, he's speaking their language. He's speaking to their trauma, their resentment, their bitterness, their wounds. They see them. They manipulate it. They're using it to their advantage because he's everything that he's not saying he is, and we know that. But to these folks, he's giving them almost a sense of retribution. And if Democrats want to gain any foothold in Appalachia or rural America, you're going to have to understand their history, their heartache, their trauma, their resilience, their communities, their culture. And you're going to have to meet them where they are. And you're going to have to be able to address those issues realistically. Let them see that you are changed, that you are showing up for them, that you do consider them, that you care about them. Because right now, the only one that looks like that does care for them is Trump and the MAGA movement. Even though we can see through the bullshit, they're not.